Welcome to the GLAC studio. This is Gomathi, Siva, Sankaran, founder, CEO, the Guiding Light Art Company, building bright futures through art. Today, in the episode 7 of the GLAC What Next series, Change Management in Practice, we are meeting a co-founder of a software development company that is based in Salaam, Tanzania. Ellipsis Digital is an international software company that is based in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and is also doing business building software with customers that are based out in United Kingdom, Austria, Israel, and other countries. And it also does something more than software development, which is called the Developers Outreach Program. The Developers Outreach Program is a non-profit training program designed to empower young people with software development and business collaboration skills. The program has directly impacted over 100 students since its launch in 2019, and with a mission to train over 100,000 software developers from Africa by 2030. This is a fantastic mission, and I'm super happy to be interviewing WINULA to get to know more about how he does business, the challenges that he faces, and how he handles change management in practice. Without much ado, let's get on to the show and get to know more from WINULA himself. WINULA, welcome to the GLAC What Next series, Change Management in Practice. I am super happy to be interviewing you today. There is a lot that I learned about you also through the websites, the news scripts, and also the inputs that you have given me. So it's a lot that I want to explore. But before I want to get started, I would love for you to just introduce yourself briefly to our audience.
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity, first of all. So my name is WINULA Kingamkono. Currently, I'm the co-founder at Ellipsis Digital. Ellipsis is a software development company, and we work with businesses, we work with organizations and startups. And what we do is we basically build software for them. The company is based in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and we usually hire developers here in Tanzania, and they work on global projects. And we've built software for companies in the UK, here in Tanzania, as well as in Austria and other countries as well. I also recently announced the launch of our fintech product that I've been working on for the past few months. It's called Tunzaa Fintech.
Yeah.
And Tunzaa basically is designed to help young Tanzanians develop positive saving habits through gamification. And it's connected to an e-commerce platform which offers products and services from different businesses so that these young people can achieve their dreams directly by paying for services or for products from our platform in installments. Yeah.
Awesome. You've done a lot about this, and I do see the awards and all the appreciations that your work has been receiving both nationally and also internationally. But before going there, I would want to explore more about you as a person. What was your motivation behind getting into something like this? When you started out really young?
Yeah. Okay. So I started dealing with computers when I was 11 or 12 years old. I still remember that day because so this was in 1990s. And my mother, I think it was either 1999 or 2000. I was in primary school. And so my mother works for Tanzania Telecommunication Company Limited. And so they were required to learn computers at that time. So therefore, she was taking classes at one of her colleges in Dar es Salaam. So one day while I was heading to school, she said, let's pass in my school. I want you to check this out. I was like, yeah, okay. It's my mom. I can't say no to her. So yeah, we went to this. Yeah, we went to her school, and then I met a teacher, and then they opened an email address for me. I still remember the handle was magicwinula@yahoo.com. Magic because I love basketball. So Magic Johnson. Yeah. Yeah, that's the username I chose. And so it kind of introduced me to this new world of internet. And you can imagine this was like 20 years ago. So I was very, very young. Or like maybe, yeah, as I said, 10 or 11 years old. But since that day, I started to go back. Here in Tanzania, we have internet cafes. So I started to go back after school, like, and then just explore the computer. And so I was just playing around the computer, trying like to figure things out. Of course, I had to pay for that. So I was saving my lunch money and to pay for the internet that I was using, and started to bring my friends along. And so throughout this process, I started to be very, very curious about the computer. And I was asking all these questions. And yeah, at some point, I started to learn about, I love video games. So I was like very curious about how they made games like Pac-Man and this kind of stuff. So I was asking questions like to different people, like, how do you guys build this stuff? Like sometimes I got the answers, sometimes people had no idea, but that's how I got started. Yeah. Wow. And eventually it's sort of like I knew. So when I finished high school, I chose to join the University of Dodoma. And I studied information systems. So I continued to follow my dream or my path since that day. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a very, very early dream that you've been working on, growing with, I would say. This is interesting. But when you started off with this company, this developer outreach program that you have created, can you elaborate on that for our viewers?
Yeah. So I would start with sharing a statistic that I read. I think Google published this report, and they say Tanzania has only 15,000 developers compared to Kenya, which is like neighboring country, who have like 50,000 software developers. And that's the first thing. So the other thing is that when we were starting out Ellipsis Digital with my business partner, Johannes Silla, he's an investor. One of the challenges we had was that we were really hard to hire like good developers. So one of the things that I thought, and actually I have to thank the Swedish Institute for this. So Swedish Institute is this global program which like picks professionals from different fields in several African countries. They also have this for, I think, Eastern Europe and Asian countries. And then, they invite them to Sweden, and then we go over this course that is designed to help them with business sustainability and leadership. And from there, I got this idea like, what if we because to make my business sustainable, I need a constant supply of reliable software engineers. So therefore, we thought, what if we introduce this program within our company? So we started in 2019. We partnered with one company, and we trained about 20 developers. And the idea was we trained these developers for free. And then we worked with companies that are interested to basically take these developers and then give them sort of like an internship, paid internship, I must insist. And so we tried that in 2019. It was more of like learning what are the opportunities, what could we do as a company. And then, so this year we also started like 2 weeks ago. We are training 20 software engineers. And these engineers are trained by engineers that are working at Ellipsis Digital. So the idea is that these guys are already exposed to software development projects that they've been working on through our company. So the idea is to introduce these younger guys and ladies as well into this program by having them work together. So the software engineers that work at Ellipsis Digital train these younger guys, and then we don't only train them on software development, we also include collaboration skills, we also include communication skills, because we learn these are also very challenging. And then after 3 months, so this is face-to-face training once a week, and after 3 months, we do 100 days of coding, where the trained software developers are supposed to work on like individual projects, whatever they want to do. If they want to build a video game, they want to work on like IoT, anything they want to do. Then they work for like 100 days with like mentorship from our engineers and other engineers that volunteer. And then after, so that would be like a total of 6 months. And then soon after that, we start to find them placement in other companies here in Tanzania. But also we find them placement in companies that we work with. So they come on board as interns, and then they get to have real life experience. They get to see how, like the whole process of building software, designing and understanding and everything. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You have explained this so simply, but I can imagine there's a lot of things that goes on behind it. I want to dig a little deeper. I love this. First of all, I want to understand how much time are you practically investing on one student or one developer to train this person?
So we spend usually 3 hours every week, and this is like the software engineers or like communications officer, whoever is training them. But then we do follow-up training with the developers. But this has to, so this we can't really time it because it depends on what questions they ask. But it's usually like the developer, one engineer would work with at least like 5 students, more or less. So 3 hours a week. But also I have to explain this, like coding. When you want to learn coding, it's more of an individual. It's more of an individual effort. So what we do is we show them like this is the way you need to go.
Structure.
We are sort of like their Gandalfs to the Frodos to borrow Lord of the Rings reference.
But the question that I have in my mind is the financing, because you are investing in people. I mean, typically you can expect that you are in a job interview where you have done something already in your past, and that's what you are presenting as your CV or your skill set. And then, of course, based on what you have done before you are employed, you get the salary, and of course there is upskilling that happens within the company based on what is required additionally. But what you are doing is totally different. You are training from the basics. I can understand. So it's a lot of financial investment that you are making initially on someone. How are you able to sustain with that until such time that he or she is coming up the learning curve and ready for developing something for you or your clients? How are you sustaining on that?
So I look at this situation this way, right? If I say, let me just go into the market and fight over 15,000 developers, well, we will find developers, but in the long run, we are missing out in so many opportunities. And yeah, so how we are looking at it, we say if we train someone for over a year, then after a year, this person can start to practice as junior developer. And the junior developer, like let's say after 12 months, they will be able to start making money for Ellipsis Digital. So we say, let's just close our eyes. Let's just work with these guys, and hopefully out of these guys, maybe we could get a certain percentage of developers that would work with our company. So the demand for software engineers is higher than what our country alone can supply. Forget about every other country. The demand is very high. Yeah, in European countries, in North America, in so many other countries. And this is not going to stop because the world is becoming, we are much more influenced by technology as days goes by. So the demand for software engineers is increasing. So how we are looking at it right now is that we are trying to first say, let's increase the number of engineers in Tanzania. So you asked about financing. We are currently paying for everything through Ellipsis Digital, like from like the space, the engineers, the extra time, and everything. But also I try to involve other companies. We haven't received any funding from any other company before, but a few months ago, I spoke to the minister of the minister responsible for ICT in my country, Dr. Ndugulile. So I visited him in his office in Dodoma. We had a chat. He introduced me to other people in other departments within the ministry. And my idea was that, what if we introduce this program to high schoolers? So that, like, yes, we could, because coding, you don't have to like have a certain degree to learn coding. It's basically a language. Yeah. You can learn it when you're 10, 15 years old. So I pitched this to them. I went to Dodoma, the capital city of Tanzania. I was invited there by the minister responsible for ICT, Dr. Ndugulile. And so I pitched this idea of like introducing coding classes to high schoolers, like public schools in Tanzania. And we told them that we are happy to have our engineers train these high schoolers on, like, the basics of computer programming. So to simply aspire them to become developers, because when you start earlier, it's much easier for you to even grasp like very complicated concepts in software development. And then eventually, imagine if you start in high school, that means in like 4 years, by the time you graduate from college, you don't even have to go to college probably. But by the time you graduate from college, you would already know all these concepts, and then probably would have like 3 years experience, working experience if you're lucky. And then you could just, straight from college, get jobs. Yeah, so we are still waiting for them. It takes time with the government. So hopefully they will buy into this idea and they will. Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome. I want to go back to this. Your engineers that are training the school kids or newcomers to your organization, so they are imparting the knowledge transfer. How many of these professionals that you have as the trainers that are training these children or?
Yeah, so we have about like 4 people who like are the champions of this program at Ellipsis Digital. So there's Baraka Ali. Yeah, Baraka Ali is a software engineer. He's working for one of our clients in the UK. He loves it. He loves like doing this, teaching like younger people. And most of them also come from his former university. So for him, I think it's a good opportunity to share this knowledge. And we worked with Baraka when he came fresh from college. So you can see is some sort of like a cycle of knowledge, but also there's Jasmine Lupatu. So Jasmine teaches them communication skills. And then there is Bernard Mwakililo. So Bernard is a digital marketing expert. So he helps he teach them ways that they could also share their skills on the digital spaces so that they can increase an opportunity for them to get hired, to get jobs, to get more opportunities. And then there's also Frank. So Frank, he's also working with Baraka on the same project. So Frank trains them on software development, but particularly on APIs as well as the back end. But the whole team is there. Like everybody's supporting, like our graphics designer, like everybody at Ellipsis Digital is supporting. But also a very interesting call last week from two companies. One is based in Tanzania, the other one is based in Nigeria, but they work with companies in Europe. And these people offered to join our program to teach these young people on blockchain, and also on using SMS APIs. So it's a very interesting opportunity for them.
Yes. You are growing a new range of learning experience for the children as well. And it is not just learning coding, they're also learning how to market, they are also learning how to communicate professionally. So it's a lot that you are imparting, and I can see that you have a passionate set of people in this. When you started out with this idea, the initial germ of the idea, was it easy or how challenging was it to go over this plan and find people that are equally passionate like you into this, building this team? It wouldn't have been an easy show, I would guess.
So the first person to convince was my business partner. Why should we teach people for free? We have universities for that, and he's from Europe. But I had to explain to him that I see these young people, I work with them, so we could force ourselves to play the Russian roulette, like keep guessing, maybe we'll find someone better, fight over like few resources, or we could focus on like creating developers the way that we work with them. So that way we won't have to like teach people like how we work with our customers and stuff like that. So that was the first person, he got convinced. And it was much easier with the team. For the software engineers, it was much more easier. I think in coding, it's the way the whole industry is set up, like people love to teach each other. That's why you have like platform like Stack Overflow, where you have people answering questions. So this makes it much easier when you talk to the team. So for the team, it was like quite easy, and it's on volunteering basis. Like nobody's forced to go out of their comfort zone. So it's if you want to do it, welcome on board. And these are the things that you're required to do. So they do everything on their own. Last year I was there, I because I had to share the vision and everything. This year I said I'm stepping back, and then you guys have to own this. So that's what we did for this year.
So you gave the ownership also to them, so they feel responsible in a way to take the lead. You're building good leaders.
Thanks.
There's one more thing I noticed when you said that you're also helping people getting placed with your clients, meaning you are losing out on resources that you have built or invested on. Of course, it is good that they get a career opportunity with another organization or across the globe and so on. But aren't you losing out on the investment that you made in people? Just to,
Not really. I'll give you an example. 4 months ago, we worked with 2 interns, and then we were training these interns. So they knew a little bit about coding, but they were not like the best. So, but after we worked very close to them, 4 months later, they started to contribute on a project. And so I shared this with the client. I said, like, we have these 2 resources. They are interns. We are paying them, but like not the salary, like like an allowance, so that they can go back and forth to the office. They don't have to be at the office all the time. And he said, so we showed him what they did, and he was impressed. So he asked, like, okay, how much would it cost me to have these guys on my team? So we are not really missing out on anything. So that's what I was trying to explain. Like, eventually, these guys join the teams, and therefore we are creating more opportunities for Tanzanians. And then also we are improving how we deliver our services to the clients, because now they can even speed. We are speeding up recruitment. We don't have to go out there looking for other people. You know how difficult and expensive that can be. So we are cutting down on that. But also now the client has people who basically they understand like our workflow in general. So it makes it much easier for everybody in the team.
That is awesome. That's amazing. That is amazing. I want to touch base on your app, the fintech app that you have created.
Yes.
When I looked into the profile, it says that you are building a very good financial habit among customers and also connecting the buyers. If you could explain briefly on what exactly is this app doing?
Yeah, sure. So before we even wrote the first line of code, in 2000, I set up like a research team, very small. And what we did is we spoke to like over 500 people in Dar es Salaam and also in Tanga. So we chose Dar es Salaam because it's a much more developed city, and Tanga is least developed, even though geographically they are all positioned the same way. And what we wanted to understand from this team, from these people, from this survey, what is the perception of young people when it comes to money? And so we asked so many questions, and then we narrowed it down, and then we started to see like common challenges being reported. And one of them was poor financial habits in terms of like saving and in terms of managing their earnings. But also, we learned that so many young people take loans, and loans are expensive when it comes to servicing these loans. So yes, we worked at the office, and then we created a prototype, and then we invited like 20 people, like it was a closed group, and then we showed them the prototype. It was in the beginning, it was like very difficult to move around and everything, and they didn't understand it. And then we started to change it, and in the middle of changing types, we realized we are probably building a bank here, because our focus wasn't helping them save. They're already making money. Yeah, that's what we are thinking. Like, we are building a bank here. So, and then we realized this will be very expensive for us as a small company to get the banking license and everything. So we had to step back, and that's why it took us quite some time. So we had to step back and see, how could we go around this issue without breaking any laws, without like lying to people and everything. And so the question that popped up was, why do people save? Like, why do you? So the answer was, we save so that we can spend on something in the future. So, and then it occurred to us, we could help people pay for services and products directly to the businesses, but by doing this in installments. And it's actually not a new idea. It's like it's not like something that was never been done before. Actually, so many shops are already accepting payments this way.
Yeah. Installments.
Yes, in installments. But the issue is not paying in installments.
No.
The issue is forming the habit where you will first of all remember to go to the shop and then make a deposit for something you want to buy. So the shops, when we spoke to like shop owners and like service providers, they said the thing is, someone will come today, make a deposit, and then disappear for 8 months. And I have to do a business. I can't stay with it. They said we can't stay with a product for over 8 months because of storage cost, and like, what if somebody else wants to buy this product? It's like, okay, so what do we need to do to speed up like payment process, like so that people can pay in like less than 3 months? So, and that is a question of habits. And I'm not a trained behavioral scientist or like human behavior. No, I'm not. So my first intuition was like, let me talk to few of my friends who are doing this kind of stuff. And it was like very difficult because I was trying to explain something else, but they're like, you can do this. I'm like, but that won't work the way we see it, because we tried these ideas and then it didn't work with the prototype we are building. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick books on habits and I'm going to train myself. So the first thing I did was I read a book called Atomic Habits by, I think, James Clear, and it was like very interesting. But while I was still researching, going on, I came across somebody called BJ Fogg. I think he's a professor at Stanford, and he wrote a book called Tiny Habits. And my friend Philemon Msuya bought the book for me. It was like, you've been working very hard on this, so I'm gonna give you as a gift. So he got me that book. And this book is very interesting because I said, I'm going to practice these things on myself. If they work on me, then they would work on other people. And the entire concept on this, So because if it doesn't work on me, it won't work. So I had to turn myself into like to turn myself into a lab rat to test on myself these ideas. And so the whole philosophy of the book is that you can change habits by starting on like very tiny changes. And it's the same concept in Atomic Habits. Tiny, it's the same thing. And basically, when you think about it, that's how we've been trained throughout our lives. When you start with, like, let's say learning, for example, they don't teach you like very complex subjects. They start with like very basic stuff. Say A, say B, say C, sing it, A, B, C. Once you're very comfortable with that, you move to other things. And so I wanted to lose weight. So I said, I'm going to try and practice this. One of the things that I tried, they said the problem is not working out. The problem is like going out of your bed. So they say, in the very first few days, don't even think about like going for a run or something like that. Just dress up and sit for like 5-15 minutes and change and then go back, because you have to instill the idea of like waking up on time for you to go out and work out. That's the most challenging thing. So I tried that, and 3-4 days, I managed to instill that like waking up at like 6 a.m. so that I could go for a walk. And then in the next like 2-3 weeks, I started to like dress up and then just walk. I live very close to the beach, and so I started to take these morning walks on the beach. I would never run, like just go and take a walk on the beach. And then after like 3-4 weeks, I started to like my body adjusted to this schedule, and like I would be up at that time, and like mentally I'm like, okay, I have to go for a walk. And it's not painful. I just walk. And then I started to jog. Like I would go for a walk, and then I started to run. And I'm not even like running for like 10 kilometers, less than 2 kilometers. Because the idea is that you should be able to show up. And then another interesting thing is that you should be able to track these changes. So for me, I Twitter. I love Twitter to use Twitter as my tracking platform. So that way, first of all, I have content every day in the morning. I go to the beach, I have like nice pictures from the beach, but also I'm holding myself responsible, because when I see on my timeline, didn't do 1, 2, 3, it feels bad for me. I can see the inconsistency on my timeline. So that way, and like it's public, so people see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so that way I hold myself accountable. So I do this like every morning. I'm also learning German through the same principle. Yeah, so I see the power of this book. I lost so much weight in the span of like three months than I ever did with any other program.
Yeah.
So what I personally learned from this book is the power of like making very tiny changes, like so small that are almost invisible, like you wouldn't see them. And so I combined that with my software development skills and my system designs. That's my education from college. And then we started to work on these ideas. So one of the things that we did on Tunzaa, now I'm coming back to the app, the story was long. One of the things that we did in Tunzaa is we added gamification features to be able to make it very interesting for people to put money aside for something. So let's say you want to travel for a holiday, or you want to like buy a new TV or like a furniture, like a table. Start with something very small as like less than $1. Don't even stress yourself about like putting so much money, because the idea is for them to get very familiar with the process. And so from our app, we are sending out reminders, we are sending out notifications. But it's an ongoing process, because we're also learning from people what works for them, what doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
Yes. So right now, what we are doing is we have a closed beta release. We launched to very few people. I'm saying 10 people. That's how tiny we are going. Only 10 people right now. Very tiny changes. And then from these 10 people, we learned a lot. And I'm I'm lucky. I'm happy that we did it this way, because imagine launching to like 1,000 people and then oops, some broken, some doesn't work. And so hopefully next month, I'm talking about like few days from today, 3, 2 maybe, we're going to increase like a number to people. So I'm not a rush. We are not in a like, oh, we have to go big. For now, what we are doing is simply understanding what works and what doesn't, and understanding our users, how are they using our product. On both sides, we have an app for business owners with app, and if we'll be able to like say make it possible for one person to buy a product by paying in installments, then the next step would be to scale up, like repeat the same model, but to like a bigger group of people. So that's how we are going with Tunzaa. Yeah.
Awesome. This is ultimate. I'm so loving this. Now for a set of questions that that is generic, but I'm sure your answers are going to be very helpful for. What is your suggestion to anyone on how he or she can identify his or her own career path?
That's not an easy question. And I like to shy away from giving advice, because people listen, and I don't want somebody to listen. And then, but I'll try.
Yeah. It's your thought process on how.
What if it's a bad advice? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I think it has to do, first of all, with your ability. And I'm borrowing this from the same book. Like, what is your skill set? What are you capable of doing? Yeah. So some people multi-disciplined, and then they can do several things. They can write, they can solve complex problems, they can write software, all this type of stuff. So that's the very first area that I look at, like the ability to do something.
Yeah.
And also, when you wake up in the morning, do you look forward to doing that thing, or like you have to be driven, you have to be pushed?
Yes.
And so the motivation, and this is all from the book, the motivation, that's the very interesting part, because some people are motivated by money, like when they get paid at the end of the month, then they will do this job, like anything that they are comfortable with doing.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are motivated by purpose. So they're like, I want to achieve that. I want to be able to like be like, I don't know, like a leader, or like the #1 software developer in the world, whatever. So for me, like when you're deciding on a career path, you have to make sure that these things balance out, like the ability to do something, because even if you have motivation and you can't do anything, it makes no sense.
No.
But if you are capable of doing something, but you're not motivated, then it will be very difficult for you to achieve that. So what I would advise is that, like, just write down the things that you're really good at, like not questionable. Like, this is something that I actually can deliver. Like, I don't even have to look at the notes. Write them down from like the something that you're really good at to the list. And then on another list, try to write down your, like, what motivates you. Is this, if let's say today I choose to be a football player, first of all, like, am I in that age? Am I capable of playing football? And also, but for football players, the motivation, of course, is clear: fame, money, and all these things. But if you don't have that ability, well, if your age does not allow you to play football professionally, then it won't help you choosing football as a career path. So you have to tell yourself the truth. Like, given the conditions right now, I think I'm lying to myself. But other careers allow you to, you could be a writer at any age. Nobody's going to check, like, how old were you when you wrote this book? Nobody cares about that.
No.
Or you can be a software developer from any age. So some careers you can easily enter without limitations, but some careers are much more difficult. I mean, you can still enter. You can still be a machine learning expert, but it's much more difficult because you have to, like, learn so many things. You have to train, you have to practice, but it's possible to become one. So for me, my advice would be, look at those two things. If they balance out, if the reward is good, if the reward is good enough to motivate you, and you're capable of doing that thing, then choose that career, because then eventually, like, you won't need like something to push you, something to motivate you, because it will be in line with that. But if you see that these things don't balance out, like, even if the motivation is good but your skill is low, your skill set is very high but the motivation is very low, then don't go that way, because after some time it will bore you, or it will stop motivating you, and then definitely you will quit.
I see that. Yes. So now we are thinking of someone that is identified the career path. What do you think will be the challenges that one should be prepared for?
So what I wanted to say is that, like, when you speak to a lot of people, they tend to think that they have control over their lives. But, in retrospect, when you look back in your life, you would see that you don't have control many things. So all these external factors, all these challenges, like being able to balance between family, being able to balance between your friends, all these things, they will still come in a new task. It won't change if you, like, they won't when you go back to this when you go to this new job, or like a new career path, or anything that you want to do new. So when you are highlighting all these, like, abilities and motivation, you should also think about the challenges that comes with, for example, when you want to learn something, but then you spare mornings like say 2 hours in the morning for you to be able to learn this new skill. But your household is busy in the morning. Let's say you live in an extended family, and like there's always like somebody around. So it will be very difficult for you to do that. But you can still say, I could change my environment so that I could give myself enough time to do this. So challenges will always pop up, especially when you're trying something new, something that you've never done before.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's some challenges could even be like internal triggers, like within you, like you're trying to learn and your brain somehow decides to sing some song, and then you can focus, but you know how it goes. But the most interesting thing for anybody is to be able to create sort of like an environment that allows them to, if it's communicating with like your friends or your family member, hey guys, I'm learning 1, 2, 3. I would appreciate if you support me on this in a certain way. For example, if you had like a schedule of like meeting your friends at 7 p.m. for like drinks in a bar, and then you decide like, okay, I'm going to spend this time to learn something new, just communicate that with your friends, like, hey guys, I'm trying to do 1, 2, 3, or with your family. Just get this environment that allows you to be able to practice this new skill effectively, because that's what pushes people to drop out or to decide like, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to quit. But the moment you understand that you could reduce the stress, you could like fine tune the environment to allow yourself some space to create, then this could really help. But there's no one answer to that question.
I sense that, yes. Okay, so according to you, what are the top 3 important things one should be aware of before making a commitment to a change?
Your ability, motivation, and environment. Just the summary of the things that I say.
Yes.
So
just to be ready about having that commitment,
so
making the commitment.
So in a sense, just to like exploit further, like are you, because ability means, are you able to for example, you want to learn software development. Do you have a computer or a tool to do that? Because if you're willing to do that, but you don't have the right tools, then of course it will be difficult for you. So that the first thing for me was like, there is the ability to do that thing, the new thing, right? The second thing, as I said, is simply a summary of the things that I say. So motivation. Are you like, motivation is unreliable, so don't really depend on it. But motivation is good when you have very, very complex things, when you want to learn something very complex. For example, right now, if you hear like a company like SpaceX won like $2.9 billion worth of a tender to send people to the moon, that could motivate you, like, oh wow, that's a lot of money. But that's unreliable, because 1 week, 1 month after that, reality kicks in, and then you realize it's almost impossible for me to get to that goal by looking at the people who are doing these things and how long it took them to do that. So don't really rely on motivation, but allow yourself like this. Just going about the same thing that I said, like tiny changes that don't really like take so much of your, like that they don't rely on like external factors, external motivation, because these things are unreliable, they change anything. And the last thing, and the last thing that I was talking about is environment. So when you're trying something new, you have to make sure that you create some space that would allow you to practice this thing. Like if it's like changing your physical space to allow you, like if you want to learn software development, probably you need a very comfortable chair, like a nice stable. And I'm not talking in a sense of like expensive. I'm saying just nice, in terms of ergonomics that doesn't hurt your back, these things. Yeah, so change the environment. So for me, it will be these three things: motivation, ability, and environment. Yeah.
Awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah.
One question about, going back to your the companies that you are running. The last couple of years have been challenging for most of us globally.
Yes. Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
How is your how are you first adapting to the changes, challenges from COVID, and how is your organization also adapting to that?
Yeah. So the COVID-19 situation has been difficult for everyone because in like modern times, the world has never seen something like that affected everybody equally. So first of all, it's sort of like, move the balances. Like this is not for the rich, not for the poor. This is for everyone. So for me personally, of course, I was afraid, like everybody else. And I was concerned, not just for myself, but for my team members. And so one of the very first things that we did, we asked the building that we were working from if they could, because they had that in the clause that in terms of pandemic, we could get like a free ride that we don't have to pay rent for a certain period of time. But then again, we are in Tanzania. So if you follow the news, you might have learned that Tanzania never closed borders.
No.
We were not strict with anything. So of course the building said we don't have a pandemic in Tanzania. Sort of so he denied us the right that was in our contract. So I said I can't continue to pay rent for a building that we're not going to use. So my very first the very first thing I did was I asked the entire team that it's not going to be easy for all of us because we don't know, first of all, how long this will take, and we don't know what we have to do. But based on the news, based on what we read on the internet, one of the ways that we could reduce the possibilities of being infected by COVID-19 is to keep distance.
Yeah.
So I asked everybody and then we started to work from home. We would do like daily stand-ups and everything. It wasn't easy. We tried to have the interns at that time, and I'm speaking like during March, April 2020. It wasn't easy. And then I also learned through that time that environments are different. So for some people, it was okay, easier to but you have to understand in Tanzania, situations are different. So it was difficult for some of the team members to work from home. We tried because you could hear the background noise, and then you start to think like, okay, this is very difficult. So eventually, after some time, I decided to rent another space. And then we changed that from like working from home to like, if you're capable of like coming to the office, then come to the office. And then, but of course, put on a mask, use sanitizer, these kind of things. But yeah, and so that's how we are doing it right now. Like for example, right now I'm at home. But if I'm going to the office, of course, the mask and everything to make sure that we get that distance. But also, one of the things that really worried me was like not being able to run business. But I think also from the news, you might learn that software development, software companies in general, saw a boom in the business because now that people are working from home, we had to rely on technology. Using tools like what we are using right now, Microsoft Teams. So that created demand for most software developers. So like we were a few of like industries that we are lucky to have like a positive impact. I would say,
in a way,
without sounding mean. But we started to see like more demand for like tools that that rely on technology.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so our business, I was really worried. I was like ready to close shop and everything, but then we started to have much more demand for software. And so yeah, so we managed to keep everybody, and then we managed to give other people jobs as well. Yeah,
that is awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to approach you or your organization for software development or so, what kind of support do you provide and how do they reach you?
Okay. So we do so our software development approach follows 3 basic steps. The first one is fact finding, where we basically talk to a client about what problem are they trying to solve, because the software is simply a tool. So we try to understand from their point of view. And so we employ design thinking methodologies throughout this process to try to dig out the actual problem like that would affect the users. And then from this stage, the fact-finding stage, we create a requirement analysis document for the customer to be able to see, okay, so these are the issues that what we are going to build and everything. And then from there, we go to the second stage, which is delivery. So here we work with designers and software engineers. So the designers basically, we work with user experience designers and researchers and user interface designers in the very beginning. So the researcher's job is to basically, like go further into these problems that the clients say, try to understand from the user's point of view. But then the user interface designer would work on like the expected outlook of the software, like the buttons, the colors, the pictures, and everything. And then so we create a prototype where it's like clickable, it's visible, so that the users can play around with this product and then like get the feeling of how the software will be. And this is before writing a single line of code. And if the client is happy with this process, then we jump to actual coding, and this is where we involve our software engineers, and then they implement the source codes based on what was agreed on, and eventually the last stage is quality assurance. So after implementing the source codes, we have to make sure that we are meeting global standards, and we allow we give the client an opportunity for them to bring in people that they trust, like system auditors. But we also provide our internal quality assurance people to come and then try out the software to make sure like there are no bugs, or if there are any bugs are addressed before this software is launched. And then once this stage, like if the client is happy with this stage, then we launch it to market. And for people who are interested with working with us, you can visit our website at www.ellipsis.co.tz. Ellipsis is ELLIPSIS.co.tz. Or you could write us an email at jobs@ellipsis.co.tz. Yeah.
You also support youngsters in this. So they can also reach out to you. Yes.
And for people who are interested in working with us as software engineers or designers within on our website, they could just go to careers, and there's a form where they could just fill up the information. And what we do basically is every time we have an opportunity, we send out emails or we call them directly, and then we vet these developers, and then we place them into the projects that we're working on. So yeah.
Awesome. This business model seems to be so attractive. If engineers or people, let's say educational institutions from another country, wants to learn how you do that, would you also support them in this so that they can build something like this in their country?
Yeah, we would love this. We would love to work with other organizations, other companies, startups as well, who are interested in our model. We are happy to share this knowledge, to transfer this knowledge so that we can impact much more people. Our vision, our mission is to train 100,000 software developers by
Yes.
2030.
2030. I saw your mission. Yes.
Yes.
I would be really interested in seeing if somebody that's watching that wants to, build something in his or her own country can reach out to you. I think it's possible. This is awesome. Yes.
Thank you.
WINULA, this has been an amazing interview. I just loved what you had to say. Is there anything else that you want to say to the audience before we take leave?
To people who love to create stuff, keep creating. Just keep building. Like somebody will notice. So keep building. That's all I'd like to say. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Yes. It's been a pleasure, and wish you all the best for all your endeavors, and also good luck with the mission on training this 100,000 people by 2030. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. This was truly amazing for me to get to learn how WINULA sees the younger generation as part of the business that he is building. And this is sustainability in practice along with change management in practice. I am super excited to also think of certain things that I want to implement in my own startup from this episode, and I hope you all have found this also equally useful and helpful, inspiring. If you like more of shows like this, please do share your comments and feedback. That's exactly how we are connecting with each other, building this strong community of people from various backgrounds and getting to learn from each other. So I'm totally happy to listen to what you have to say. Please share your comments and feedback section. And also remember to like, share, and subscribe so that you can tune into more of such content every time I put up one like this. Also remember that we are now on Podbean podcast, so the audio version will also be available alongside, and soon when the website is ready, you will have the whole package of all the episodes one by one. You can also download via Google Play or Apple and listen to it while on the run. Signing off from the GLAC studio, this is Gomathi Siva Sankaran. Bye-bye.